Okay, good evening, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Let me know if you guys can hear my audio and see my screen in the chat box. Just give me a little Y or yes there. Just let me know that it is indeed working. Hope everybody's having a fantastic evening so far. Looking forward to this webinar with you guys today. I'm excited to talk about this. We do this once a month, and so it's kind of a fun class to have because we don't get to talk about this subject all the time. But I do want to welcome everybody here. Also want to give a shout out to everybody in the recording, whether you're watching this on the calendar or if you're watching this on YouTube. Just want to welcome you guys here and say hello to you. Feel free to ask questions in the comment section or in the chat box while you're here live. If you're here in the recording, feel free to ask questions in the comment section below. We can answer those questions for you. But yeah, let's go and get started. So today we're going to talk about how to pass a prop firm challenge and tips on growing a small account. So that's what this class, it's big long title, mouthful of a title, but it's a great opportunity for somebody who's just kind of starting out to figure out, okay, I have this much money to work with. How am I going to excel or accelerate this money and get this to a point where I can actually make a real income with this? I have 3 prop firms today that we're going to evaluate specifically. We're going to look at the pros and cons of each one and kind of decide if that's a good fit for you or not, which will be really fun. We're going to talk about what prop firms are to begin with and just some of their pros and cons. And then lastly, I want to give you some tips on how to grow a small account if you're not going to go the prop firm way. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we jump into our live discussion today, as always, I need to remind you guys about the risks involved in this market. You can lose all or more than your initial investment if you're not careful. So please be aware of how many pips you're risking on each trade, in addition to how big your lot size is and ultimately how that would affect your account if you were to lose money. So make sure that you're going through that process each and every time that you take a trade. All right, guys. So what are prop firms? Let's talk about this briefly. So a Forex prop firm is a company that hires traders and provides them with capital to trade in the foreign exchange market. Traders trade with the firm's money and in return share a portion of the profits they generate. These firms aim to identify and develop talented traders who can generate consistent profits by providing them with necessary tools and resources and support. So these are just a bunch of logos of different prop firms out there. This is my Forex Funds, Surge Trader, FTMO, Top Tier, Funded Next, and Funded Trading Plus, of which I've done challenges with most of these that I have listed here. The only one I haven't done a challenge with Top Tier, and I haven't done a challenge with Funded Next. And I actually haven't done one with Surge Trader, and I'm actually not that interested in Surge Trader. Maybe we'll highlight them another time why. Otherwise, they've got some really cool stuff. It's just there's a couple of reasons why I don't do challenges with Surge Trader. But anyway, so that's what a prop firm does. So for those of you that are new, or for those of you that are watching this in the recording, these companies will give you 6 to 7 figures, and some of them 8 figures now of trading capital that you can use to generate profits in the markets, of which they'll give you a very handsome portion, a very large percentage of the profits you do make, and then they'll keep the other portion. A lot of these places will pay you weekly, biweekly, or even monthly. In fact, some of the more competitive firms now are paying traders out weekly. So if you have a great week trading, you could actually keep your profits the same week. I'll show you which firms are starting to do that. Because one thing that I really love about this is the prop firm industry is growing at a very rapid pace, and they're becoming more and more competitive, which is nice for you and me because now they're having to offer us as the traders better support, better resources and tools, platforms, things like that, because they're becoming more popular and competitive, right? Which I love, because now trading is not just something where you kind of take a small account and you kind of build it. This is for a lot of people, because of prop firms, this can become a full-time income for most folks. Not only could it become a full-time income, because of prop firms, this can become something where, if you were used to making $40,000-$50,000 a year for the last 10 years or whatever, which is not, I mean, that's nothing huge, but that's just what somebody would make, I guess, in this country, right? So now all of a sudden they're making 4, 5, 6, 7 times that, right? And it's through these prop firms, which is really, really cool. And which is awesome. Now, before we jump into more about prop firms, actually, let me see what my next slide is on. Okay, yeah. So before I jump into this, one thing I really want to make clear, because I don't want to go further with the prop firm trading discussion before I put on a very handsome disclaimer on prop firms. Okay, so before we dive further into this conversation, one thing I want everyone to be aware of is how prop firms make money. Because yes, they are offering really awesome tools to you. They're offering great tools to me, and a way for us to round up capital that we've never been able to before, which is so awesome. These guys make their money, though. Most of them make their money, not all of them, but well, actually, all of them make their money. This is one of the ways they make money. Some of them only make money this way. So I want to make it clear that most of the money that prop firms make is from you and I pulling out our credit cards and punching in those 16 numbers and saying, here's my $1,000 for this prop firm challenge. And let's see if I pass. And if you fail, they get to keep that money. So there is some real stark realities that we need to talk about here, that if you fail a prop firm challenge, they're going to keep the money and they get to keep it. There's really nothing you can do. If you try to dispute that with your bank, they're going to win just because of the way they have everything set up. So I just want to make that clear, that it's really important that if you're going to go with a challenge, just be ready to say goodbye to that money, because sometimes you're not going to pass. In fact, the first couple of times I started prop firm challenges, I failed both times. It wasn't until my third try where I passed my challenge, right? So yeah, it can be pretty devastating to fail challenges, especially if you fail many in a row, which I've done. And I know plenty of people who have done this, have had the same experience. So so are they set up to have you fail? I don't know if they're designed. Not all of them are designed to have you fail. And that's one of the reasons why we're having this webinar today, is to go over which ones give you more of a chance to pass and which ones are more in line with the type of strategy that you're trading and the type of trader that you are, because not every prop firm's created equal. So we've had, as you guys know, we've had plenty of traders pass challenges with these firms, some in particular better than others. We've had traders fail too, so it's important to make sure that that's on the record. But these guys do make their money from people failing challenges, for by and large. Okay, so I'll give you a statistic. So for example, FTMO is probably the biggest prop firm out there. They've been around the longest. Last year, they reported their numbers on what their payouts were and how much money they collected. Believe it or not, these guys collected $400 million in prop firm audition fees. Guess how much they paid out to the trader? It was about 29, we'll round it to $30 million. So they paid out $30 million and they collected 400 million in audition fees, right? It's a very profitable business for these folks. So if you're not very good at trading, and if you're not confident and you don't have a good strategy, these guys are absolutely going to make the best of it, and they're going to make the money and you're not. But if you know what you're doing, you have a good system behind it, and you know how to manage risk, this might be one of the best things you embark on. Okay, so I just want to make sure that that extra disclaimer is here at the beginning before we move forward with the webinar. Okay, so let's talk about general rules of a prop firm. These are general, so some prop firms do better than these rules and others do worse. And so we'll kind of highlight a couple of, like I said, I have 3 prop firms I want to highlight today in particular. So let's talk about the general rules. Number 1, most of these prop firms offer, in fact, some of them offer what are called single phase challenges, 2-phase challenges, which is the most popular, by the way. And then you have instant funding challenges, and they all call them their different things. Some of them call it like an experienced trader program, an advanced trader program. Some of them call them the novice trader program, or they'll call it the master trader, whatever they want to call it. But by and large, most prop firms will either have most of them have a 2-phase challenge, because that's the standard. Some of them will have a 1-phase challenge, and I'd say a lot of them do now. And then a lot also offer immediate funding. So if you just pulled out your credit card and paid them a little bit more money, when I say a little bit, it's actually a lot more money. If you paid them a lot more money, they would give you a very large funded account. For example, I think my Forex Funds, if you give them like $4,500, they'll give you I think it's $100,000 account today, like right now. So you give them $4,500 right now, they'll give you $100,000 trading account right this very moment. So some people do that. Now, I'm not a big fan of those because they're still designed to take your money. They're not really designed for you. And I'll explain why those single phase challenges are pretty bad and those instant funding challenges are pretty bad. Those ones are definitely designed for you to lose. Okay. So really, in my opinion, if you're going to go with a prop firm, it better be a two-phase challenge because those are the only ones. They're cheaper for one. So if you do happen to fail, you're not out as much money. Okay. Two, the rules are a lot more laid back. So you have room to make mistakes. Your strategy has more room to navigate the markets. And if you have a downtime with your strategy, you have room to recover. And there's forgiveness there. There's not very much forgiveness with some of those other one phase challenges because the drawdowns are so tight, right? So let's talk about two phase, because again, if you guys come to me and say, I want to do an instant funding challenge, and depending on the single phase challenge, if it has good drawdown limits, I might be okay with you starting a single phase challenge. But by and large, most of the single phase challenges out there, in my opinion, they're scams. Okay. So I kind of help you figure out which ones I think would not be in your best interest to sign up for. So pretty much if you're going to go with a company, make sure they have a two-phase challenge. That's always going to be what you're going to be after. So like I said, that's bullet point one. Most prop firms on a two-phase challenge will give you a max 10% drawdown. Some of them can be a little bit worse than that, which I'm not a big fan of. Some of them are better. For example, my Forex Funds, they allow a 12% max drawdown, which is nice. The only issue though is it's a relative drawdown, which we'll talk about that as well later. But 10% is the standard, and if you can get 10%, that's worth it. Most places have a 5% daily drawdown. Okay, so you can take your account down up to 5% in a day without failing. If you go over that, then you would fail. That's pretty standard. I don't know of a place that lets you lose more than 5% in a day. If you're losing more than 5% in a day, we need to tweak the strategy. It's not the prop firm. Okay. You should never lose more than 5% in a day, in my opinion. Okay. Minimum trading days is 5. So most places will require you that at least you trade for 5 days during the time that you're being evaluated with one of these prop firms. Some places will do less, some places more. We'll talk about those, but 5 is the standard. Most places will want you to make about a 10% return in 30 days on phase 1. And then the rules pull back a little bit and it's a little easier. By the time you get to phase 2, you only need to make about a 5% return in 60 days. And that's pretty common. Now, I'm going to highlight, like I said, a couple of different prop firms that are different on these, but that is the standard throughout the industry. Okay. And then once you pass phase 2, it's a glorious time, because what that means is if you pass phase 2, you're now funded. So if you were trying out for $100,000 and you pass phase 2, well, there you go. You're funded $100,000, of which most places will give you an 80% profit split. Some places more, some places less. But 80% of whatever you make on a $100,000 account is awesome. If you get a $200,000 account, same thing. That's you get to keep 80% of that. That's huge. All right. So let's go on to this next. Let's talk about this. So this is one of the firms I wanted to highlight today. And I don't have every pro and con on here. So I'm just going to highlight the pros and cons of these different firms. And in fact, I actually wanted to pull up the site. Let me pull this up here on my other screen. I want to look at their websites with you guys after we go over my presentation for each slide here. So Lux Trading Firm is, I'm not sure who requested it, but somebody asked me yesterday. Oh, I remember who it was. Yeah. So I was asked yesterday to go over Lux Trading Firm. Okay, so I want to highlight some of the pros and cons of Lux Trading. This is kind of a newer prop firm to me. I've run across these guys before, but I kind of got turned off by them, and I'll show you why I was turned off by them. But they do have some really cool benefits that I think are worth mentioning and may outweigh some of the cons depending on the type of trading that you're embarking on. So first things first, they will fund you up to $10 million. So that's pretty awesome. $10 million is a lot of capital, guys. You can make a lot of money with 10 million. Okay. Um, yeah, you wouldn't be hurting for money ever again if you had $10 million. That's not just seven figures. That's an 8-figure account, which is pretty awesome. I'll explain in a little bit how you can get that. They also, this is another cool thing that is not as common. So it's definitely on the pros and high up on my list. So Lux Trading Firm will fund you with live capital, not demo after you're funded. So this might sound kind of weird to somebody who's new. They might say, well, wait, I thought you're funded. Isn't every funded account real money? That's actually not the case. For example, with FTMO, which is kind of the standard throughout the industry, and my Forex Funds is the same way. If you get funded with these guys, you are funded and they will pay you real money, but they're once you get funded, it's still technically a demo account. Okay, so you're trading with fake money, which to me it doesn't matter a ton, other than there's a sense of, I guess, I would feel like I would trust somebody a little bit more, a prop firm. I don't know about you guys, but for me, I feel like I would trust them more if I knew I was trading with real money. I'd feel like I was a partner or somebody they actually trust. But when they're giving me fake money, it sounds like they still don't trust me. And maybe there's something else going on there that I don't quite understand, right? So not everybody does this. I know, for example, I just started my challenge a couple weeks ago with Funded Trading Plus. They fund you with real money, and I like that. That was one of the things that attracted me to my Funded Trading Plus and why I started a challenge with those guys. And that's the same thing with Lex Trading. Isn't that pretty cool? That's not fake money. So if they give you $10 million in funding, you're really funded with $10 million, which is pretty cool. And they mention that in their disclaimer and on their fine print, which is pretty cool. I think every prop firm has to, somewhere in their fine print, tell you if the account's real or not. And most of them, I would say, don't give you real money. But I actually know this. I actually talked to a guy who works for my Forex Funds in London. He told me that what they do is, and it's actually really, really smart if you think about it. Once they have somebody who gets funded, for their first 2 or 3 payouts, they just pay that out of pocket. So even though you're trading a demo account, even though technically you're funded, they'll pay you your first 2 or 3 payouts. If they can tell that you're a consistent trader, what they'll do is on the third or fourth, and it's up to their discretion. On the third or fourth payout, they'll transfer you to a real live account. That way you stop. Basically, if you're making money before, they were losing money because you were making money, right? So if by the third or fourth payout you're still making money and you haven't lost your account, they'll transfer you to an actual live account. So that way because they believe you're an actual professional trader at that point, and they don't want to keep paying you out of pocket to keep funding that account, if that makes sense. So it's a smart model. That's how a lot of places do it. They'll just convert you over. FTMO, I've heard, does the same thing. I haven't confirmed with FTMO that that's what they do, but I have heard from FTMO that, after 2 or 3 or 4 successful payouts in a row, if they can tell you're a really good trader, they'll just transfer you to a real account because they don't want to keep losing money. Anyway, so it's just an interesting way that prop firms navigate their business model. Anyway, so any trading style doesn't matter. You can trade any way that they don't really care how you do it. They allow overnight positions, which is pretty standard now. They allow, I don't know about weekends. In fact, I didn't see that. So I don't know about Lux trading on weekends. One really cool thing is they allow MT4, so you can trade on MT4 or TradingView, which is actually kind of cool that you can connect your account to TradingView with these guys. Not everybody offers TradingView capabilities. So that's kind of nice that, which is another thing too. We've run into, a couple of us have run into problems with prop firms who lose contracts with MT4. So MQL owns MT4 and MT5. And if MQL decides not to renew a contract, this actually happened. I worked for a prop firm here in Utah, actually, that had MT4 for like 4 years. This was from 2011 to 2015. For 4 years, we had MT4. And I don't know all the details. I didn't get to talk to management about it. But the prop firm I worked for, they actually lost privileges with MT4. And I don't remember if it was because MQL discontinued it or if they discontinued it themselves. So they actually ended up building their own proprietary trading platform, which they continue to run to this day, which has worked for them. So what's kind of nice about having a prop firm that has multiple different platforms, I know this might not sound like a benefit, but it is, because I've actually seen this become an issue with some prop firms, is if they only have one way to trade. So like, for example, if they only trade with MT4 or MT5 and they lose their contract with MT4 or MT5, then they have nowhere else to go, right? Then that's it. So it is kind of nice that they boast the fact that you have the option to trade either way, because if they lose one contract, they can just put everybody on TradingView, or if they lose TradingView, they can just put everybody on MT4. So anyway, just another benefit. Okay, so they are two-phase. They call their two-phase challenge. The first phase is called the evaluation account. Their second phase is called the advanced account. And then the funded account is called, I think it's called the professional. The professional account is funded. Now, this is a huge benefit right here that we really have to highlight. This would be really unfortunate to not mention this. They offer a 6% phase one profit target, which is amazing, actually, to only have to make 6%. That's awesome. Most places require 10. If you don't remember from the previous slide, 10% is the standard on phase one. So to only have to make 6%, that's a dream come true, actually. That's pretty amazing, to only have to make 6 in phase one. And then when you get to phase two, it's only 4%. So that's amazing. Most places, again, it's 10% and then 5% for phase one and phase two. If other places are pretty generous, they'll offer this. Phase one will be 8%, not 10. So the fact that they're at 6 is even more generous than even the generous folks, right? So that is, honestly, when I'm looking at all of their benefits, to me, that's got to be in my top 3 benefits, is the fact that the profit targets are so easy to reach. Not that far at all. Okay. There is a catch though, and we're going to get to that catch in a little bit, unless you guys have read ahead already, but there is a catch. But that is pretty awesome, by the way. So I got to make sure we mention that. This is also pretty cool. Account doubles after hitting a 10% profit target. That's sweet. So once you get to the professional account, which is what they call the funded account, is the professional account, their account doubles. Okay, so if you have a $100,000 account, it doubles to 200. If you have a $200,000 account, it doubles to 400, all the way up to the 10 million. So you could double however long it takes you to make 10% of your account, they'll then double your account. So yeah, I'm just thinking about that. If you start with 200,000 and doubles to 400, that's huge. 400 goes to 800, that's huge. And then 1.6 and then 3.2, it wouldn't take too many doubles to get to your 10 million, basically. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. No time limits, so you can take as long as you need to make which is really nice. I don't know about you guys, but having no time limits is kind of a huge breath of fresh air. even and you know, it's funny because everyone who started a challenge this in the last month with the COT report, pretty much everybody's passed their first phase or their second phase. I mean, a lot of you guys have emailed or texted me when that happens, which by the way, definitely text me, email me, or send me a message on Telegram, however you want to do it. If you guys pass your challenge, just let me know how you're doing. Phase one, if you get to phase two, if you get funded, let me know. Yeah, that'd be awesome. In fact, I would love it if you guys would, once you get funded, print out the certificate that says you're funded, send me a picture of that. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. And um, some of you have already done that, but that would be really cool. Okay, so anyway, let's move on here. So doubles, no time limits. Oh yeah, this is pretty cool. They offer a free trial for 7 days. So you can actually open up a demo with these guys just to try out the trading view, or you can try out MT4 with a demo account, see how it goes. You can try out their dashboard, which is pretty nice, really, really cool. FTMO also offers a free trial that's 14 days. I think for me, I don't really care about the free trials anymore because I've done a lot of challenges. But I think when you're a timid, newer trader, I remember when I first was pretty new to these challenges, having a free trial goes a long way. Like for me to be able to try out the dashboard, click all the buttons and kind of get some confidence, that really went a long way for me. So if you're new, I think that matters a lot. Now, okay, so those are all the benefits, and those, by the way, are some pretty solid benefits. Some of these things are actually pretty unique. Let me actually just point out the most unique things here. So the $10 million max funding is actually quite unique. A lot of places who are doing pretty well, they'll say like our max funding is 2.5 million or something like that, or we'll fund traders up to $1 million or something. That's considered pretty good. So to be at the $10 million mark, which is an 8-figure account, guys, 8 figures is a big number. That's not 6 figures. 6 figures is huge to people. 7 figures is massively huge. When you get to 8 figures, that's a prestigious level of funding at that point. 8 figures, guys, 8 figures is huge. That you can't mess around with that. So that is a big deal. Obviously, you can't just apply for that. You're going to have to work your account to get to the 10 million, but you can do that. I think the other thing that really sets these guys apart, because a lot of this stuff is pretty standard benefits, is the phase one and phase two profit targets. So the 10 million and then the easy phase one and phase two is probably, if those matter to you, those two things the most, then you may want to consider these guys. But I do want to get to the cons though. We need to move on. So let's talk about the cons. So they offer a 75% profit split, which is lower than the standard, right? 80% is pretty much what the standard is right now. And that is throughout most prop firms. And a lot of prop firms have ways for you to not only get the 80% to start, but you can get to 90%, 95% in some cases after a couple of payouts or something like that. You can get to the 90% mark. So to be at 75% is pretty low, and they don't offer a way to get above that. So you're capped at 75%. That's still a good amount of money, but that is 25% of what you make is going to them. Okay. And I think part of that could be just the fact that they do want to keep more of that money because this is real money you're actually trading with. So a lot of other places don't really care because it's a demo account anyway, even when you're funded. These guys are funding you with real money. So yeah, I can see why they'd like to keep some of that money in their pocket. This is the worst part. And this is a huge turnoff to me from Lux Trading Firm. And honestly, I'd really struggle to trade with these guys. And it's the max drawdown is 5%. And it's not just daily, that is the max drawdown period. And that is pretty low, guys. So I was reading all these benefits and I was like, oh my gosh, sign me up, sign me up, sign me up. And then I got to that part and I was like, oh, shoot, never mind. So that is a real turnoff. I think there's a way you can work with it, but I'll have to teach you how to do it. So 5% is pretty low. And that's not just your daily. They don't really have a day. Your daily is your max drawdown. So there's no other way around that. If you lose 5% of your account, you're busted, and they'll keep your deposit and your account will be suspended. And that's terrible. And it's also relative. So it's not just an absolute drawdown where it's based off of your balance. It is relative. So it moves up as you're profitable too. So that 5% drawdown is sneaking up on you even as you're becoming more profitable. You cannot escape it. So it really stinks. You have to place a stop loss on every trade. That's not too bad. Some places require that, like Funded Trading Plus, but sometimes it's nice to be able to just place a trade and then put your stop loss in later. They don't allow that. You have to, if you're going to place your trade, it immediately has to have a stop loss at the very get-go. So a lot of you might be like, why is that a con? Because don't we place a stop loss on every trade? And we do. It's just that sometimes it's nice to be able to make that adjustment after the fact. Not with these guys. You just have to place it right away. Also, their site and information is displayed in an ambiguous way. So this is their website right here. It really is kind of weird. Their fonts don't match. Like their logo font doesn't match their website, which I thought was kind of weird. I just kind of noticed those kinds of things. I don't know about you guys. It just kind of shows like, okay, I don't know how professional is this, right? But they've got, otherwise it's pretty good. They got some pretty big names on here. They've got some reviews and stuff like that. This is the part I thought was the worst. You go to their trading rules. This is how they have their trading rules listed. It's just a bunch of paragraphs. Let's see if I can get it to load here. Yeah, kind of a weird background. That doesn't matter as much. I just noticed these kinds of things because I want to see how professional they look. This is kind of weird to me. I've never seen somebody present rules like this. This just makes me want to, when I see stuff like this, I don't know about you guys, but I just want to navigate away from the page. It's just boring. And I don't see everything just really, there's too many words, and I'm not seeing, okay, just tell me what your main rules are. And that's all I need to know. But to me, this looks like fine print, and this gets me worried, right? I don't know about you guys, but if I see a bunch of, look, that whole thing is just a bunch of words, right? Right. I get, how am I going to remember all that kind of stuff, right? I just need something simple where I know exactly what I'm getting into before I just jump into this. So I don't know, if I could talk to these guys, I'd be like, guys, I feel like your site needs some help. Okay. So anyway, that's just my opinion. I think they could really use some help in that department because it's not very clear to me all their rules, and there's a lot of stuff you have to navigate around. Anyway, so that's Lux Trading Firm. They do have a lot of pros, but as you guys know, there's a lot of cons. Would I trade with these guys? Maybe. Here's how I would trade with them if I were to use the COT report. If I wanted to go with Lux Trading Firm because of that 5% relative drawdown, what I'd have to do is risk even less per trade, maybe go 0.5%, maybe even 0.25% per trade. So you could get away with a 5% drawdown, but you'd have to risk even less. And you might be like, well, that's fine because my profit targets are smaller. But the thing is, it's like, well, if the profit target's smaller anyway, maybe it's because of the drawdown being so tight. So is this really a benefit that there's is it really a benefit that you have such a small profit target if the drawdown is so tight? To me, that just negates the benefit. It negates the benefit if you're going to have such a tight drawdown. Does that make sense? I would rather just make more money and have more flexibility. I would just rather show the prop firm, hey, look, I know how to make money in the market. I've got a system that works. Here's my system, and it makes a lot of money, and just give me the drawdown that I need. I'd rather do that than be like, okay, I'm just going to work really tight here and make this work. No, I don't want anything to do with that. That's just my that's my style. But if you guys wanted to go with these guys because you like the other benefits, then I would just say, you just have to use this tighter lot size calculator, right? You just have to tighten it up. Otherwise, then I think you'd be fine. Okay, so let's move on. Unless you guys have other questions, feel free to ask those questions, but let's move on to the next one. So this is True Forex Funds. which I'm excited to talk about because I'm just going to tell you from the outset, I do like these guys more. And they are interesting and they have a lot of benefits that are worth mentioning. They actually don't, from what I could find, I didn't see a lot of downside. I didn't, maybe you guys are more aware of some of their cons, but I didn't see a lot of cons. Okay. So let's go ahead and go over this prop firm. So True Forex Funds, which by the way, actually, maybe we'll do this first. Let me show you their website. We'll do this first. Their website's nice. If I ever made a prop firm, which actually is in my long-term plans, if I made a prop firm, I would want my site to look like this. And I don't know, it just makes me trust it more. So their site's just very few words, it's very simple, how to get started. Their benefits are very clear, like what they offer. And then they just get right to it here. They just say, hey, here's our phase one, here's our phase two, and 80-20 profit split. What else is there to tell you? Get started, right? Like that's the vibe I get, and which is to me something I like, right? Anyway, we'll come back to their site in just a moment. But so here's what they do. So they boast they pay out very quickly. So they use this is pretty common with prop firms. You have to get it's called Deal, DEEL. It's a bank account where you can just transfer funds immediately into Deal. And then what you do is you connect your bank account to Deal. It's kind of like having PayPal, and then you just connect your bank account to PayPal, and then you can get paid pretty quickly like that. So they can send money to Deal pretty much instantaneously. They say it takes, well, I don't know actually, but they say it takes less than 24 hours to get paid. And then Deal sends it right to your bank account because Deal has already verified your bank and everything. And so it's kind of like having that secure third party, and then the money just goes straight to your bank account. So it seems like you can get funded, or it seems like you can get paid pretty quick with these guys. That's what I've heard. That's what I've read, and what I've watched a few videos on these guys too. And the people who have had payouts with these guys, it's usually pretty quick. Okay, so paid pretty quickly, 80-20 profit split. That's pretty standard. I don't know if that's a pro, because that's pretty much just standard. Okay, so 80% goes to you, 20% to them. They allow overnight and weekend positions, which is nice. No new, you can trade through news, which is awesome. Spreads are great, which I gotta actually talk about that for a second. Supposedly their spreads are amazing. I don't know. In fact, they actually show it on their site here, I believe. They actually tell you what their spreads are. Is this it right here? Is this their spreads? Somebody was saying that their spreads are outstanding, like just about as good as they come. Anyway, I don't know for sure, but it looks like, yeah, they look pretty low from what I'm seeing here. 0.03 on the Aussie dollar, pound dollars. No, that's just, no, yeah, it's point. Oh, that's no, I don't know if that's spread actually. Never mind. But I've just heard that their spread's pretty tight, which is awesome. Okay. They offer a two-phase challenge, which is standard, 8% profit target and 5% for phase one and phase two. So that's actually pretty good. Like I said, the standard is 10% for phase one and then 5% for phase two. So it's not as good as Lux Trading Firm, but 8% is not bad, guys. Like that's not you can hit that pretty quick. You hit a good week with the COT report, you could hit that in 1 week. Like the week we had 2 weeks ago, you'd pass that in 1 week. You'd be done with phase one. Or you just have to have a couple of really good weeks, not tremendous weeks, but you could have 2 pretty good weeks with the COT report. You'd pass phase one with 8%. That's not too bad. Phase two would also be easy. You could probably pass that in a week if it's a good week. If maybe you need a couple of good weeks, depending on if you hit a bad week or two, that's not too bad. So I could see somebody passing pretty quick with these guys, because phase one and phase two, not terrible. Max daily drawdown is standard 5%. That's good. Max drawdown is 10%, which is also standard and pretty good. We'll take it. They only allow MT4 and MT5. However, I heard that their working on it, on getting another platform outside of MQL. So, but I've also heard that they've been saying that for a long time now. So I don't know if they're actually that close, but I have heard, rumor has it they're working on getting another platform, just so you know. Okay, 5-day minimum trading days per phase. So you have to trade a minimum of 5 days, which is not bad. That's also standard. So I don't know if that's a pro, it's just standard. Okay, this is awesome, guys. This is where when you start to sense this kind of stuff, then you're like, I see. They love the traders, right? Because when I'm like, okay, everything's standard, and then you see a rule like this, and you're like, yeah, they love traders, don't they? Right? Free retry in any phase you need. So if you fail phase one, let's say you don't pass the profit target in phase one, they'll let you go again. Yeah, you just have to call them, email them, say, hey, I'm not going to pass phase one, it looks like. Can you reset my account? They'll reset it. Yeah, free retry, pretty cool. Now, it's only one free retry per audition fee. So let's say you need a free retry for phase one. Well, then you won't be allowed a retry for phase two. Okay, so that is a downside, but a lot of places don't even offer that. So that actually is pretty nice that they offer a retry. Now, let's say you pass phase one. Let's say you hit a good week, good month with the COT report. Phase one's a breeze, but let's say for some reason things are just not going well in phase two. Well, then you can have that free retry for phase two without having to retry phase one. Super nice, right? Okay. Some places like my Forex Funds, they're the king of that. They offer free retries no matter what. As long as you're profitable, they offer free retries. So, and it's unlimited. So they're not as good as them, but just know that my Forex Funds is kind of the king in that department. So I wouldn't discount these guys just because they're not as good as my Forex Funds. They're still better than the rest of the firms, in my opinion, when it comes to the retry department. Okay, so what next benefit shows payouts of other traders. This is kind of cool, guys. Check this out. So on their website, right here, you scroll to the top of the page, right up here. That look at this. They say payouts. If you click on payouts on their homepage, look at this. They actually show you the most recent payouts that they've made. Okay, this is actually, so in June 2023, they've made, this is actually kind of crazy. Have you guys ever seen this before? This is kind of fun. Number of payouts, 984 payouts in June so far. They've paid out $3.3 million. Highest payout was $128,000. Their average payout to each trader is $3,400. And they show you the account size and how big the payout was, whether it was in euros or dollars. This one was to Croatia recently. You can actually go see the statistics of those traders. You can actually click on this. It's kind of crazy that you can do that. So this person had a $10,000 account and they made almost 1,700 euros. That's actually pretty good. Nice job. This guy requested in Germany just not long ago, probably today, requested a payout for 187 euros. This guy did well in UK, just made $20,000 on a 200K account. Pretty good month. That's 10% return. So that's, and you can go through here. You can go through each one. You can see there's several in the United States, which is kind of cool to see that there's people in the US doing quite well. Yeah, so, and you can actually click on, so that's June. You can click on May. May, they paid $3.5 million out. Let's go click on April. And April, they paid 2.5. In March, they paid out 2.8. Isn't that pretty fun? Oh man, that's actually kind of cool. You can kind of spy on people and see how they're doing. But I think that's kind of cool to see that people are getting paid there. And that they are paying out not just, the small couple $100 payouts, but like you're seeing the $20,000 payouts, that they've paid out, some of them they've paid out over $100,000, right? Okay. They allow copy traders as long as it's personal. So if you want to add this to your portfolio of trades, you can do that as long as it's a personal copy trader. So you couldn't copy trade my trades, because I have a copy trader. You couldn't copy trade mine. You can use my signals because, guys, we're all trading at different times. Somebody's taking the Cot Report trades at 7 o'clock on Sunday. Somebody else is taking them at midnight on Sunday, right? They don't have any clue. That's what I'm saying. As long as we can all trade together, we can all take the same trades. But no, it doesn't matter if we have millions of dollars in our group sloshing around in the markets buying the same current top 6 trades, we're still not going to make a dent. So I want to be clear about that. There's room for us all to have millions of dollars of funded accounts and still grow. Like our group could triple in size, which is what I hope to do soon. Our group could triple and every person could, triple the amount of funded accounts they have, and we're still not going to make a dent. So that's why I'm saying, guys, if your goal is to have lots of funded accounts, which I hope each one of you has a goal like that, definitely go for it, because you can definitely do it, and it's not going to affect my profitability. That's what's so cool is, like, I love Forex. I love trading because I can teach you guys my strategy, and it's not going to cause my strategy to go away. It's not going to cause me to make less money because you're making money too, right? Or if I start making more money, that doesn't mean you get to make less. We can all make as much as we want. There's more than enough to go around, which I love that, which is really, really fun. Okay, so some of their cons is you have to pass phase 1 in 30 days. So they don't give you unlimited time, which kind of stinks. They do offer a retry. So if you don't pass phase 1 in the first 30 days, then you could try in the next 30 days, which I think might be worth it. And then you have 60 days to make 5%. So I still think this is a good prop firm for the Cot Report. Just trade the normal 0.75% per trade. Just know that you don't have unlimited time. You do have a retry, so that's good. But just know that it is possible that you may not pass because of you don't have the unlimited time. So just be aware of that. I just want to be on the record. So Lee says, I was kind of wondering about that since these prop firms say no copy trading. Yeah, so most prop firms don't allow copy trading if you're copy trading an actual signal provider. And guys, there's a difference between me posting something on Telegram that you all can just do whenever you want, and actually copy trading from a technology, a software so I actually do this already. I have a few clients that I've set up on this with their own money, which I'm going to do an official launch on this. I don't know if I told you guys, I launched my copy trader a couple weeks ago, and it's been going great, obviously, because the Cot Report's been doing well. And that's an actual technology where when I take my trades in my account, it then takes the same trades in their account. That is not allowed with most prop firms. However, you can take Cot Report trades, the top 6 signals, a similar stop loss with the trailing stop, from Telegram, and just plop them into your own account. And you can even use your own personal copy trader, as long as it's not from a signal provider like myself. And again, there is and I just got to make sure there's a distinction. There's a difference between grabbing my signals from Telegram. That's totally fine. They're never going to, that's not, it's not a problem. And 2, they'd never find out. Okay. So you're completely fine to just use my signals, use the Cot Report. It's totally fine. The problem they have is if every single one of you connected to my account and all of us took the exact same trade in the same millisecond, that's where they have a problem. Okay, so I just want to make sure that we're clear. It sounds like we're clear on that though. Okay, so I was going to say last thing is they pay bi-weekly, which honestly is not a huge con, but a lot of places are now paying out weekly. And some places are now doing it twice a week. So if you make profits throughout the week, you could technically ask for those profits as they come, which is kind of huge. But bi-weekly is what these guys are offering. Another con, I don't know if this is a big deal. they actually shut down their Discord channel, which is kind of weird. I think it's because supposedly they say it's because there was a lot of spammers, but that's what I heard. So I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but this looks like another great firm. I think I probably will go with these guys. Next month, I'm planning on doing my bespoke funding challenge. I think I've already told you guys that that's my next plan, but maybe in September or October, I'll go with these guys. Yeah, especially if you can have that retry. I think that's pretty huge, right? So, okay. Um, I need to take a break. I wanted to tell you more about bespoke, but I've already kind of talked about bespoke funding in other webinars. So I think I'm going to stop there. Let me know what questions you guys have, because I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up and taking a break before we start the COT report webinar. But I hope that was valuable to you guys, at least kind of seeing the difference between some of these firms. And again, like I said, I think True Forex Funds, in my opinion, so going back to the slide here, I think these guys would match the COT report challenge, or excuse me, the COT report strategy best, especially because you do get a retry on at least one of the phases, which I think, yeah, if you hit a bad month with the COT report, most likely the following month you'd be fine. And for me, I think personally, just my philosophy is, okay, if I have a bad month trading, I should be fine to start the next month. But if I still fail, it wouldn't be too hard to just start another challenge again, because eventually you should hit it. But I think the chance of failing is still pretty low if you just risk the 0.75% per trade. And if you exercise the free retry, I think you should be fine. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. We'll see you guys for the COT report webinar in just a few minutes for those of you that want to come to that. But I don't see any other questions, so we'll go ahead and wrap up. But I appreciate your attendance today, guys. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you in the COT report webinar.